I will be the first to admit that using cast iron in the kitchen was not something I was for. Just cleaning it made me turn up my nose and say, no thank you. Oh, have times changed, because now I use nothing but, or I try to use nothing but cast iron in our kitchen. Cast iron is not only great for you, it is also environmentally friendly, and it's really not that hard to clean and care for if you know what you're doing. So today I'm going to share with you my tips for taking care of and cleaning your cast iron. The first time I tried using cast iron, I was living in a townhouse and we had a gas stove, which was great. And I remember it was winter, it was cold, and I did not want to go outside and cook steak. So I decided that I was going to cook steak in a cast iron skillet. And I followed a recipe, I believe it was from the Pioneer Woman. And that steak turned out so good that I ended up making it almost every week. I made it for my mom, I made it for my dad, I made it for anybody who wanted to come for dinner. That steak was amazing, and it changed my mind on using cast iron in the kitchen. So now I try to use only cast iron, and over the years I have found some great ways to make using it easier and caring for it easier and washing it easier, because one of the #1 things they tell you with cast iron is to not use soap, which is very true, but that makes cleaning it a little different and not what you're used to. So we're going to dive into some tips and tricks for taking care of and cleaning your cast iron. Before we dive into the tips and tricks for caring for and washing your cast iron, I want to talk to you a little bit about just cast iron in general. Cast iron is really durable, it's really strong, and which makes it so that if you get a cast iron that, say, is a little bit rusty or doesn't look too hot, it's not bad. It's not all lost, all causes are lost. It's not something to just throw away and discard. You can rehab an old cast iron. So if you find a cast iron, say at a thrift store or a secondhand store, or say you're given a cast iron that maybe isn't in the best shape, you can rehab it and still use it. If you want to learn more about rehabbing cast iron and how to get it in tip-top shape, visit our website. I have a great article on rehabbing cast iron, and I will link that below for you. I'm throwing in a picture of a dinner I made in our cast iron pan because I realized when I was editing this video that one of the video clips got lost. So when you are washing your cast iron, you want to make sure that you are washing it by hand and you're not using soap. If there is any food or just anything stuck to the bottom of the pan, you want to use a scraper. I use one from Pampered Chef for my stoneware. It's the same scraper. Melissa Norris also has a wooden one that you can purchase, which is great. So you can use a scraper to get any stuck on food off. Now, the best time to do this is to scrape the food off, is when your cast iron is still warm. So if you are not washing it right after you're done cooking, then you want to heat up your cast iron again for maybe 3 to 5 minutes. Maybe pour a little bit of water in there to heat up the water as well. And it kind of loosens all of the stuck on food. And then you can use your scraper to get it all off. Okay, so I have this pan just barely heated. I still want to be able to manage it. And it has some grease in it. So I have put our grease cup in the sink, and I'm just going to pour this extra grease into the cup. I guess it's not a cup, it's a can. I pour the extra grease in, and then while this is still warm, this is key to making cleaning this cast iron easier. While this is still warm, I want to get hot water and I want to wash this while it's still warm. So add some hot water, and then I'm going to take my scraper and I'm going to go to town. all clean, I want to dry it, and I want to make sure I dry it really, really good. One of the worst things for cast iron is any type of moisture. So I am going to dry it and make sure I get all of the moisture off. If when you are drying you get a little bit of like black on your rag, that is perfectly fine. That is just a little bit of the seasoning coming off, and we are going to fix that in our next step. Before I put our cast iron away, I like to put a little bit of seasoning oil on it just to keep it non-stick and to keep it looking nice. So I have our homemade seasoning oil here. This is really easy to make homemade. There is no reason to purchase it from the store. I do have a link to our website on how to make this, and at the very end of this video I'll put a little clip on how to make this at home. Like I said, it's really easy and it's gonna last a long time. So I'm gonna put a little bit of this on my rag and then wipe it down. I have used this process for cleaning and caring for a cast iron for years, and I have never had a problem with it. And if you ask Jamie, he would probably tell you I'm a cast iron hoarder. Anytime I see a cast iron pan at a thrift store or Goodwill, I can't say no. I'm always buying new cast iron. I'm always rehabbing cast iron to have more pans in our home. So if you haven't tried it, please try it. It's really not that hard. And if you have any questions along the way, please make sure you leave them in the comments or send me a DM on Instagram. I would love to help you with your cast iron. For more information on how to rehab a cast iron pan or more detailed information on how to care for a cast iron, please make sure that you visit our website. I have linked it below for you. It was great hanging out with you guys at the farmhouse today, and I will talk to you soon. Before I conclude this video though, I am going to show you how to make our homemade seasoning oil for our cast iron, so stay tuned. To make our homemade seasoning oil for our cast iron, you want to set up a double boiler with water in the bottom, and then you want to add 2 tablespoons of beeswax pellets, 2 tablespoons of linseed oil, and 2 tablespoons of coconut oil. You are going to let this melt all together and kind of marry all together. And then once that is done, you're going to pour it into a container. You can either pour it into a tin, or we poured it into a mason jar with a lid, and then let it cool. And then once it is cool, it is good to use in your cast iron.